Hey, what's up? I am Chelsea. This is my coffee, and this is Coffee with Chelsea, a podcast. We're live on Zoom, so this is totally weird. We're like doing the video thing. This is totally coffee, and I am hanging out with my friend Rob Brown, sports guy, ESPN host, and thank God sports are coming back. Rob, what's up, man? Thanks for being on.
It's my pleasure, buddy. It has been way too long since we've gotten to hang out and talk about irreverent stuff. So this seemed like an awesome opportunity to catch up. It's good to see you, friend.
It's good to see you too. I appreciate the Ninja Turtles mug.
Thank you very much. I am a grown adult. And shockingly, between wearing hockey jerseys in public, drinking out of Ninja Turtles mugs, and I'm sure other things that we're going to talk about over the course of the next however many minutes we decide to do this, this is going to be shocking. I have had girlfriends before. I know it's unbelievable, but it's happened.
I have seen this. There's been Facebook proof of this. So I totally believe you. People are not going to judge you at all. You know, we're nerdy here. I love the Ninja Turtles. Actually, don't we have the same favorite Ninja Turtle? Isn't it Raphael?
No. However, you remember Tom Siren, who is my bassist in my 80s cover band Shenanigans. He is a little too Raph. I was always a Donatello guy, right? Because
that makes sense.
Even in the group of nerds, the nerd was still the one that did all the important stuff, right? Like the Turtles don't have all the cool stuff they have if it's not for Donatello. So, that's a big one for me.
You know?
That's what I would say if I wasn't a Donatello fan too.
I'm just a Raphael fan. Raphael fan. I am crude but cool. That's what the poster always said when I was growing up. But, it's all good. We love the Ninja Turtles. That's how it is. Me and Rob got to know each other as we both lived in the Panhandle. Rob was from the area, and I was just like a tourist, but a new radio girl. We're both radio people. So you are living in what, South Carolina now?
Yeah, I'm in Greenville, South Carolina. I have been here for about 4 weeks now, and it is it's a really cool place. It's a very outdoorsy place, right? Like there's not a ton to do inside. There's not a lot of inside stuff. There's a really nice little concert venue, and there's a bunch of live sports. But if you're going to live here, you kind of have to love being up in the mountains, out in the rivers, hanging out by waterfalls. The good news is you can drink beer by all of those things, so it really works out well for me.
Well, that sounds like a really hard life to live. I get it. We have to be out and on a beach, having a drink, hanging out with dolphins, seeing manatees play, all that nature stuff. I can't even.
Yeah, I'm really sorry that you're going through that. It sounds like quite the struggle, and I'm proud of you for fighting the good fight, buddy. I really am.
One day at a time, bud. It's Zoom chats like this that help me get through the times that are really tough. Like the coronavirus, though, it did suck that they shut down beaches. Did they shut down nature by you?
They did, kind of, right? The state parks all closed, but a lot of them you could still get in, obviously, because there are state parks everywhere here, and they are enormous, right? Ooh. So there was no way for them to really make sure nobody was going to hang out. But they basically said, hey, look, if you're going to go out into nature, stay away from everybody. Like, just give each other plenty of space and plenty of room. They reopened everything Thursday, Friday of last week. And then they've kind of been soft opening this week. So all the parks are back open. They're not really staffed, right? So there's not park rangers and stuff like that going around. But they are open for you to go camp and hang out. So as a matter of fact, this upcoming weekend, I think on Sunday, I'm actually going to take my motorcycle up on the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is like 30 minutes from me. It's one of the prettiest motorcycle rides in the area. And, those are the kind of things that we do I say we, like I'm a long time. We do that for fun here in South Carolina, us South Carolinians. Like I'm not even here long enough to unpack my boxes, but I'm one of us, guys.
Yeah, you know what? You're a radio guy. You got to embrace the whole atmosphere and the environment. And that's okay. I said we all the time. Plus you live by yourself, and I know as a radio person that live by themselves, sometimes you talk to yourself and you're like, no, it's like you have to almost kind of have a person there or it gets to be a little much. Like, have you had contact? Have you been okay there in South Carolina by yourself with coronavirus on lockdown? You've been talking to people, right?
Yeah. It's really funny that you bring that up. I was talking with a couple of friends of mine because I've got a handful of people that, and this has never been anything like before, right before coronavirus, you could go anywhere you wanted and do anything you wanted with any body you wanted. And now we're kind of at a point where if you are following the lockdown, you can't go anywhere you want. You can't do anything you want. You can't do it with anyone you want. And I have had more one-on-one contact and social contact with friends of mine during the coronavirus than I ever did when we were free to do whatever we wanted, right? Because, and this is really, it's interesting to me. I love dabbling in psychology off to the side as a goofball. It's interesting to me. Yes, exactly. It's interesting to me that when you have the ability to talk to anybody you want, whenever you want, you don't think about it because you have so much going on in your life that, like, that person that you were friends with 10 years ago down in Fort Walton Beach, like, yeah, you care about them and you want to talk with them, but you have so much going on. And unfortunately, the reality of humanity is you can't make everyone in the world a priority. You can make somebody a priority here and there. But now that we have nothing to do and we're all locked in our houses all the time, now it's like, well, it's 8 o'clock. I'm not tired. I can't go to the bar. I can't go grab something to eat. There's no sports on TV. Well, I guess I can call my old buddy so-and-so on Zoom and have a meeting with him. And I've been doing that. Like, this has honestly been, as crazy as it sounds, better for my mental health than I had been in a couple of years when I could just go out and adventure and get lost on my own. Like, my Zoom contact, if you scroll through my Zoom meetings, there's been 1,000 of them in 2 weeks because, of course, I want to talk to people, right? And they have time. I have time. And there's no I really can't talk this week, buddy. I got a wedding. No, you don't, you liar.
You have nothing to do. Your
Exactly.
kids' stuff is canceled. Like, let's be honest. No, we did it. My cousin in New York City is always very busy, and she's been working from home. So I actually set up a Zoom party, and we all talked. And I was like, this is so fun. Like, I don't know why we haven't been doing this beforehand. Yeah. And you know what else it taught me to do? Or taught me how to relax because, you know, I've hit a little bit of bad luck. So radio girl, got fired from my radio job last year, whatever. I'm honestly better off for it. But there's obviously a point when you get fired that you're like, oh, what am I going to do with my life? Like, where am I going to go? What's going to happen? I'm kind of just lost. You drink a little bit, you travel a lot a bit, you just have some fun. And I was driving the other day. I was like, dude, I'm relaxed and I'm happy. And like, I lay by the pool now and don't even care. Sometimes days I wake up and I'm like, what am I going to do today? Am I going to like do yard work or am I going to like lay by the pool or do I want to go to the beach? It's so weird. Like how everything shutting down finally made someone who's like a high anxiety workhorse totally just chill and be like, oh, I don't have to like stress about anything because everything's shut down. Yeah. And then now things are opening and I'm like, okay, but for real, like homie's got to get a job and like do something.
You don't have anything to stress about other than just the basics of life, right? Like, so back in early September of last year, I moved to Jacksonville. I moved there for a relationship, but I was also chasing a job that I really wanted on a sports radio station there. And I got there and the relationship unfortunately didn't work out. And then the guy from the radio station called me one day and was like, look, man, I know we've kind of been like interviewing you, auditioning you, having you fill in on some roles here and there, but we're not opening up any slots. So I don't have anything for you. So now I'm stuck in Jacksonville, no relationship, no job. I'm out of the career that I've been in for like 14 years at this point, and I just had no idea what to do. Well, I got the job here a handful of weeks later. Everything I owned in the back of U-Haul, came up here, threw it all in a storage closet in my adorable little 1-1 apartment here. Which, by the way, the next celebrity that complains about being bored in their multi-million-dollar mansions while I'm in a 1-1 apartment, I'm going to slap him in the teeth, all right? Anyway, so I get here, I get everything settled in, and for the first, I think, 2.5 weeks, everything was still open, right? The corona had kind of started to ramp up, but everything was still open. So for the first 2 weeks, I was going to music venues and restaurants and bars and sporting events and driving to this town and that town to go exploring or whatever. And I would come home and I'd get home at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and I'd sleep for 4 or 5 hours and I'd get up and I'd do it again. And I was going out of my mind, but it was all stuff I wanted to do, but there was just so much of it, right? Mm-hmm. And then the Rona teen started and it just kind of got to the point where it was like, hey man, sit on your couch, play some Xbox, drink a little vodka Red Bull, and relax for a few minutes. And that's just what's happened, right? So the last 3 weeks, because here's the fun part. I'm in radio, which, and you know this, 95% of us in this business are huge extroverts, right? Like we make our living by saying, I want everyone to look at me and pay attention to it. That's our living.
Well, and we need to go out like that. We need that life force of like talking to strangers. Like when I talk to strangers right now, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. You know, it like invigorates me. I get like a high off it. It's so weird. It's better than any drug I've ever had.
Yep. But there's this weird thing that, at least to me, and you can tell me if this has happened to you. There's this weird thing that happens to me when I'm really engaged in a radio show. And I don't mean this is a bad thing, but you get so caught up in being this radio persona out in the general public that this kind of larger than life caricature of you kind of becomes your primary, even when you just want to relax for a little while, right? Because this has happened to me so many times. I'll be sitting at a bar and somebody goes, oh, you're Ron from the sports station, man. Yeah, it's nice to meet you. And now they want you to host their own mini radio show right there on the spot.
Do your radio voice.
Yep. And but you have to do it, right? Because at the end of the day, people liking us and listening to us is what keeps us employed. So you don't have a choice. It's almost kind of like dance monkey, dance for me. You don't have a choice. But with this, it's exactly the opposite, right? Like I don't have anybody to perform for. I don't have any stage that I need to act on. I can just do whatever I want sitting in my house with no worries. Like I still have, so we're essential employees. So I'm still on the air. I'm still doing my show. I'm still working out of the studio. So, and I'm very fortunate for that. I promise you, I know that. I get 8 hours a day where I'm sitting in my radio station and I've got coworkers and whatever. I think if I didn't have that, I would be certifiably clinically insane at this point. But now
you wouldn't, because you would be like me and you would do a podcast or you would do a blog and you would keep busy. I mean, because that's what you have to do. You know, people like us, we have to perform and we have to be out there and we have to talk about things. I mean, I'm actually hosting virtual cocktail happy hours. The beer drinking girl who like cocktails, like I'm making this shit. I'm making a pina colada, man. Like it's crazy, but you know, it's really fun and it's nice. And I love the Zoom and everything. So I totally understand what you're saying, but I mean, so let's talk about so you do sports radio. Right. What was it like getting a sports radio job when sports got canceled?
So not just a sports radio job, but a sports radio job in a brand new city, 7 hours away from the place that I've spent the majority of my life, with all new colleges and local teams and new personalities and new players to learn about, right? So my whole career had been in the Florida Panhandle, Destin, Florida, Destin, Panama City Beach, Fort Walton Beach, Niceville, Navarre, Crestview, Pensacola, as far as Mobile, as far as Tallahassee. But every job I've had kind of been in that range. So
very small community, very close-knit community for people who don't know the area.
Right. It's a huge area, but it's a very small community within a huge area, right? And so the one thing that I had going there is no matter which radio station I was on or what format I was broadcasting, after 13 years, you develop a lot of people who they know you, they like you, they're going to follow you around. So I get brought up here and I have never had, minus my breaking into radio when I was 23-ish years old, minus breaking into radio at 23, I have never had to fight to win over a new audience, right? Yeah. So I get here to Greenville, and it's similar to Fort Walton in a lot of ways, but it's also very different from anywhere I've ever been. I'm a rum on the beach kid. Everybody up here is like craft beers and mountain bikes, and then we're gonna go kayaking, and then we're gonna drink moose, and all that's awesome. Like I love it, and I know over the next couple of years I'm gonna become that guy. This is true story. My brother, before I left here, my brother and his wife, they bought me my first beanie, Chelsea. I have a real yeah.
Wait, you've never had a beanie?
Never had a beanie in my life. Not once in my life. Never in my life have I owned a beanie.
Dude, I have like a Ninja Turtle beanie. Like, who are you even?
Never. I've never needed one.
Beanies are amazing.
It's like, I know that now, but nobody clued me into that secret years ago, right? When I came up here for my audition in January, and I'm walking down downtown Greenville, which is a really, really cool place, like young, trendy, kind of hip. So, and not that I want to get political into it, but like South Carolina is an uber conservative state. Greenville's a really progressive city, right?
Gotcha.
And so it's kind of like this progressive area surrounded by conservatism. No big deal. I'm not worried about the politics. I'm more talking about kind of the demographics, right? So downtown Greenville is kind of young, kind of trendy, kind of hip. And I get here and I'm walking around and every dude is in like flannel shirts, skinny jeans, and a beanie, right? And so I'm looking at these guys, total hipster, right? It's not as hipster as Asheville, North Carolina. We're like 40 minutes south of Asheville, North Carolina. And that's like hipster central on the East Coast.
Go to Wicked Weed Brewing. I heard it's good.
Been there. And when we're done here, don't worry. I'm going to send you a list of like 40 craft beers from the Carolinas to get your mitts on, and you'll thank me later, right?
Yes.
So I'm walking around downtown Greenville, and every dude's in like skinny jeans, boots, a flannel shirt, and a hoodie or in a beanie. And as I'm sitting at a sports bar on my audition in like my like a polo shirt and my Wranglers and like my work boots, I'm looking around at these dudes and I'm like, why are these guys dressed like this, right? So I get the job, and my brother gives me a beanie, right? And then one of my friends, as a joke, buys me a red and black flannel shirt, like my first actual flannel shirt. Again, Florida people don't need flannel. It never gets used, right? So
flannel is essential in any wardrobe, Rob. Come on now.
This is like now. Lesson learned, right? So I get here, and like the first or second night I'm here, I moved up here on a Sunday. I spent Monday and Tuesday working, filling in the apartment, whatever. End of the week, I go out for the first time. I don't know anybody. I've met some people at the radio station, but I don't really have like going out friends yet. So I'm the dude that's like, screw it. I'm going to go to the bar and meet some friends. That's what I do. I decide, let me just fit in on my first night out. I throw on the jeans, I throw on the flannel hood and the beanie, and I put this stuff on, and I was like, this is the most comfortable I've ever been in my entire adult life, right? So now I'm a beanie and flannel guy in South Carolina.
That's amazing.
But it doesn't stop me from looking at pictures of the beach and being like, I want to wear tank tops and dumb hats for no reason again. I miss it.
Do you know all day today? So I put up a little doggy pool in my backyard because, my dog is just, I feel like they needed to play in the pool. And I literally spent the whole day in a bathing suit. I don't even think I changed out of a bathing suit until it was time to go to a bike ride down to the beach. And I was like, oh, let me just pop on down. I mean, it's not like the beach. It's a beach attached to the river, but it's still sand and it's still pretty.
Sure.
And it's finally open. So I was so excited about it, but yeah, I pretty much it's so hot here in South Florida, but I mean, kind of like how you're feeling about your new environment. I moved down to Cape Coral. This is my shit. I love it here. I love this community. I love the craft beer scene here. The rum that I do the craft cocktails for, that Wicked Dolphin rum, is probably some of the best rum I've actually ever had in my entire life. And
I'm going to email you my address to send me some, by the way. Thanks in advance.
I will. We can actually ship it now. So
done. We're going to have a booze exchange.
Oh my God. I've always wanted a friend that would do a booze exchange. I'm so glad we did the Zoom chat to make this happen.
What is the booze version of Pen Pals? Because we're that now.
Booze Pals. Let's just keep
Booze
it
Pals. Officially.
And then when it takes off, we're going to go on Shark Tank and make it like a multi-bajillion-dollar idea. Mark Cuban's going to want that.
Booze Pals trademark. You have to now say trademark at the end every time to make it official.
All right.
So Booze Pals trademark.
Booze Pals trademark. Sounds like a good idea for a podcast. Wink, wink,
True
wink.
story. I don't hate this plan. I like this. We're entrepreneurs, if nothing else. So it's really funny. I'll tell you one more quick story about this spot that I'm in, because you just made me think of it, right? I'm up here on my audition. The last day that I audition, my audition ends at noon that day. I have the afternoon, and then my flight leaves the next morning, right? So I basically have the afternoon to do whatever I want to do before I leave. I got on the road, and I went about 30 minutes north of here is Chimney Rock, North Carolina. And like a lot of people have heard of Chimney Rock. Really cool place. It's this like 250 million year old rock monolith that you can hike up to the top. You can see 170 miles. It's absolutely beautiful. And at the base, there's a river. And so I went there to see Chimney Rock because I've always wanted to see it. I'm every kind of nerd, including a geology nerd. Like I love seeing geology, right? I know, judge me again. So
I don't judge you.
you should. You
I
absolutely
love it.
should.
It's awesome.
So I go there to see this monolith that's been eroded into the earth for 250 million years. To like think about standing at the top of that and what history evolved around you at that point, right? Like dinosaurs walked around this monolith before. Okay, so I go there to see it, and because my life is my life, I go on the one day that it's closed, so I can't go see it, right? So there's a guard, there's a park ranger walking around the entrance that he's cleaning up. And I said, hey man, I am begging you. I know you're closed. Will you please let me go up to the top? I don't live here. It's a one-day vacation. And he goes, I can't. It's a liability thing. I said, I'll give you $50 if you let me climb to the top of it. And he looks and he's like, I can't do it. And I'm like, I'll give you $53 if you'll let me climb to the top. And he didn't go for it, surprisingly. He goes, I can't. He goes, here. He goes, I'm going to make it up to you, though. I want you to walk out of the street, walk down 50 yards that way. There's a door. I want you to go. It's a red door. I want you to go in the door, ask for a beer, and then walk out on the back deck of that building. And I went, all right, man, whatever. So I walk down. I go down. The door he told me to go in was of this little brewery that had a small bar right at the bottom of the monolith next to this river, right? But I didn't know the river was there. So I go in the back, I get a beer, I walk out the back. And when I walk out there, I'll send you a picture of it later. When I walk out the back, there's this 30-yard wide flowing, rushing river with rapids right behind the bar. And they have built a 2-story deck. So you can go down to the deck, and the bottom deck is at the level of the river. So you can take a beer, sit, you can drink. I didn't know it was because it was cold at the time, but during the summertime, you can sit on the edge of this dock. You can sit on the edge of the dock. You can let your legs hang in this beautiful river with rapids in front of you, and it's right at the base of a mountain with the monolith off to the side. It is the most spectacularly beautiful thing I've ever seen. So I'm talking to the girl that's bartending, right? There's nobody in this town because the park's closed, and the only reason this town exists is to serve the thousands of people a day that go see The Rock. So I'm talking to the bartender, and she is like, I live here. This is what I see every single day. I love it here. And so I told her, I was like, this place is like 30 minutes from my apartment. It's a straight shot motorcycle ride there and back. It's absolutely beautiful. And she goes, if you showed up here every day, you would meet 4, 5, 6 other people who come here every day to sit here, to have beers, to just hang their feet in the water and just relax and unwind. And that's the kind of, I sat by a pool in my bathing suit all day version of the Carolinas is you just sit on a rock by a river in a mountain and drink beer all day until you're ready to go to bed, and then you go home. And I'm so happy about it.
It's perfect. Absolutely. When I went to visit my sister in Denver, we went hiking one day. And then after hiking, she took me to New Terrain Brewing, which is at the base of a plateau. So I get this delicious tasting beer and I walk out, and I mean, it's just like the most gorgeous sight I've ever seen in my life. And I'm just like, this is what I want to do. I want to just drink beer and travel, and just like everywhere I go, I like find the good beer to drink. So when I come visit, you're taking me to that place, and we're going to go check out that monolith. And I want to
put like I mentioned, I'm about 40 minutes south of Asheville, North Carolina, which is the craft beer capital of the United States. There's something like 62 craft breweries within the city limits. They have a bus. Listen to this. Tell me you're not ready to come up here now. They have a bus that just drives between the breweries. So you stop at one brewery, you have a beer, you get on the bus, and then the bus just pings you between all the breweries, and you make a circuit from craft brewery to craft brewery till it drops you back off at your car, and then you get an Uber home.
Yep, because you don't need to drive after that many craft brews because they're high alcohol content. We got one in Naples, and there's one in Tampa. The brew bus.
What's the one in Tampa? You got Cigar City. Is that the one that's in Tampa?
Oh, there's a ton of craft breweries in Tampa.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a few there.
There's Seventh Son, Cigar City. Every time we go, we like find more and more. I mean, it's insane. Like the craft beer scene here in South Florida is like absolutely mind blowing. In Cape Coral alone, I mean, in the one area I live, South Cape, which is kind of like biking distance, so like all the cool stuff to do. We have Big Storm Brewing that does their own beers, Big Blue Brewing that does their own beers, 8 Foot Brewing. And then we have like 4 or 5 other places that do just like, they have all different kinds of craft beers. Like Untitled Art's a big one that's been coming in lately. I actually was just texting all my friends about this beer. I'm a sour fiend. Like I love sour beers. And I was texting my friend about a fluffy sour. It's called a triple berry fluffy sour. And I was like, I need this in my life. It is berries and marshmallow. Dude.
I'm an IPA guy, just IPA all day, every day, as the kids say. And so the IPAs have really taken off in the Carolinas. Like that's kind of the backbone of the craft beer movement. You can go into just a gas station, just pick a gas station in the entire area of South Carolina or Lower North Carolina, which is around me, any gas station, and they will have more craft beers in their beer section than any bar you've ever gone to. It is unbelievable. I think I've got 6 different 6-packs in my fridge right now waiting for me that I've gone to get dinner and I'm like, oh, also this 6-pack, or I need a tank of gas, but also that 6-pack.
Welcome to the craft beer life.
Yes, it's a difficult life, but # worth it.
Hey, I'll see your 6-packs and I will raise you. We have a nut brown ale actually fermenting in the closet as we speak. And we have a couple of our IPAs left that we brewed in the house. Like we are brewing our own beer. That is like how much I have leveled up in craft brew drinking. So
I need you to know that I am sincerely angry that not one of them has been sent to me yet. The Booze Buddies thing, trademark is going to start up later on.
Booze Buddies trademark is so on. Okay, so I know you got to go play Dungeons and Dragons soon, so I got to ask you.
Oh, you're just going to call me out in public like that. Thank you. All right.
So
hello,
listen,
lady.
How do you feel about Brady and Gronk? Because you're the sports guy. When you can tell everybody where to listen to you and where to follow you, but Brady and Gronk coming to Tampa. So obviously now I'm a Bucks fan for this season because I'm going to go see my boyfriends up in Tampa. They're so close to me.
Well,
how do we feel about this?
First off, I forgive you for being a Bucks fan. Nobody's perfect. So that's your fault. It's fine. Everybody
Brady. I'm a Brady fan.
No, so here's the thing. This is really funny. I have been a Tom Brady fan for years for one reason and one reason alone, right? It's the same reason that I was a Jeff Gordon fan when I first got into NASCAR. Any athlete who just pisses everybody off by existing, I'm a fan of that guy, all right?
Amen.
I'm just a fan of that guy. Now, 95% of men hate Tom Brady, and it's for one reason. Do you know what that reason is?
Giselle.
No, general jealousy. Just jealousy in general, right? Because here's the thing, and I've been saying this for years. If you took any man in America and you went to the 7th grade version of that man and you said, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Most of them are going to say, I want to play in the NFL and I want to be a quarterback and I want to win 6 Super Bowls and I want to date a supermodel who makes more money than me and I never want to have to work a day in my life. That's the dream, man. Anybody who says, right, you asked me before the show, how you doing? My answer to that question is always, living the dream. I'm living the dream. Because for us,
living the dream.
It's a very sarcastic way to say everything's terrible, but you don't really care, so I'm not going to answer that question honestly, right? That's what that means. If Tom Brady says I'm living the dream, he's telling the truth. Mm-hmm. He's an NFL quarterback with 6 Super Bowls. One of the hottest women in the world is his wife, right? He lives in Tampa. He's worshipped in New England no matter what. The dude is living the dream. I have always loved Tom Brady. That being said, dun, 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 your boy's a Saints fan, which means that Tom Brady is in my division, and I now have to play that bastard 2 times a year. So Brady leaves the Patriots, and all the people who hated Tom Brady are now like, oh, okay, I'm cool with Brady. And the guy who's always been on Brady's bandwagon, like Tom Brady's awesome, you should all love him. Now I got to root against him every single year until he retires. And it's also, Rob Gronkowski sucks and I hate him. All right? Dude, I've always had this thing with athletes at the NFL level. where when they get in trouble, I'm usually way more forgiving than I am with regular people, because most of these guys have never had consequences in their life, right? Like, it's hard to put yourself in this shoes. But if I've watched it, right? I went to high school. I played high school football with a guy who would go on to be one of the greatest wide receivers in the history of the University of Alabama football program and went on to the NFL. I watched this dude get away with everything but murder in high school, because who's going to be the guy that says, no guy who single-handedly carries our football team to victories, you can't do that thing that you want to do, right? Nobody wants to be that guy. So we raise, and I actually made an argument about this on my radio show the other day. I made this argument that when we have these guys like Jameis Winston who keep acting like clowns off of the football field, unfortunately, we as society, we have some level of responsibility in that, because we never tell these kids no, and they never learn what consequences are, right? Rob Gronkowski is the guy that never does anything illegal. Like, he never does anything that's legally wrong, but I hate everything about what he does that isn't illegal, right? Like, no, because he is the worst kind of frat boy, but he won't grow out of it, right? Like,
he doesn't have to. Why should he? I know.
And that's the thing. I don't wonder if, and I'm going to be a bit hypocritical here, I don't wonder if the reason I hate Rob Gronkowski as the party frat boy that he is because I'm a little jealous, because when I got to be like 25, I had to stop being that guy, right? Like, I couldn't be the fun guy who wears like highlighter bathing suits on the beach and gets way too drunk all the time. I have to kind of be responsible, and Rob Gronkowski absolutely does not, and it drives me up a wall.
You know, I feel like I know several people that actually just have the name Rob that
unfortunately,
are just like that.
with Gronk.
Oh, we had a little delay.
Maybe.
Not you,
maybe
Rob.
You do. Oh no, yeah, definitely not me.
A different Rob.
Definitely not me. No, you know what? Look, here's the deal. Rob Gronkowski is one of the best tight ends, pass-catching tight ends in the history of the NFL. I'm a Drew Brees guy. Tom Brady is the best to ever do it, right? Like, end of discussion as far as I'm concerned. The guy's the best quarterback of all time. I just really, really hope that we can stop him from winning another Super Bowl before he retires.
Shut your mouth.
Because then, right, like, the Buccaneers have a Super Bowl and the Saints have a Super Bowl, and we're tied at 1-1. And I can live with that. I can live with being Saints 1, Bucks 1. But if the Bucks end up with one more Super Bowl than the Saints, all my Tampa friends are going to come out of the woodworks to let me know about it. And then I'm going to have to fight all of them one by one.
I want to see that fight. You make sure you let me know. I will pop one of those craft beers you recommend, and I'll be like, go Rob.
Oh, if Brady wins the Super Bowl, you will see it.
I will be there. Are you kidding me? If he wins the Super Bowl and he's close by, I'm be like, Brady! I'm a Brady jersey and everything. But so you have this Dungeons and Dragons. What character are you going to be in Dungeons and Dragons? I have to know.
So I want you to know, and I'm going to, do you mind if I get like quasi-philosophical for like 30 seconds?
You do what you do, Rob.
I wish you were my boss. So I have spent the last like 6 months of my life trying to get to the point, and I really wish this, and this I mean sincerely, if there was one thing that I wish I could just grant to every person in the world, it's do the things you want to do, love the things you want to love, and don't worry about what other people think about it, right? And that is such a difficult lesson to learn. It's a tough lesson to learn. I went to Jacksonville, like I mentioned earlier, I went to Jacksonville for a girl that I was going to be, and I changed myself totally. I don't know if you've done this before. I changed myself totally to fit into this thing that I thought was what I wanted. And then when that relationship didn't work out, because when you fake something like that, it's going to fail. That's how the world works. So I spent the last 6 months, especially the last 2.5, 3 months that I've been here in Greenville, like trying to figure out the things that I really like and want to do. So my band, which by the way, what's up to Shenanigans back in Fort Walton Beach? If you're in the Panhandle, yes, I still play in that band. And if you come to shows this summer, yes, you will still see me. So
Best cover band in the world.
No, but we are the most enthusiastic, and that counts for something. So anyway, about 3 weeks ago, every Thursday night, we're talking about Zoom and how important, like how nice it is to catch up with people. My bandmates and I started every Thursday night, we would all Zoom together, right? So our drummer Jeremy's in Orlando, our bassist Tommy's in Destin, our lead singer Teddy is in Pensacola, our lead guitarist Robert is in Shalimar, and I'm up here in Greenville. So we would all Zoom. Well, then we started getting all the other guys who rotate into the band as backups, whatever. And so we ended up on Thursdays having like 8 or 9 people and wives and girlfriends all Zooming together. Well, one of them at one night said, guys, we should like do something, right? Like we all just sit here and stare at each other's faces and get hammered every Thursday. We should do something. Well, one of the guys, our buddy Matt, who's our backup drummer when Jeremy can't make it, goes, well, I run Dungeons and Dragons games. Do you guys want to try to play Dungeons and Dragons? And they all went, I mean, yeah, why not? And I, as an uber nerd, was like, to hell with it. Yes, let's do the damn thing, right? So we all started, we took like 2 weeks. Everybody's making their own little characters. And the fun part about this, and yes, I am going to sell Dungeons and Dragons now. You're welcome. The fun part about this is the way to explain it, I think, is think like Lord of the Rings, right? But you are playing Frodo. And you can do whatever you want. Like you can make the decisions of the main character. And if you have a good storyteller, as they call it, a dungeon master, and yes, again, I've dated before. It's crazy, I know. If you have a good dungeon master, they tell this story in a way that in your mind's theater, you're like watching a movie play out, right? But you're in charge. So, you know,
to choose your own adventure.
It really is. But it's in this open, expansive world where you can do anything you want, right? And so you can, if there's a bar, you can walk into the bar, you can walk right past it. And no matter what you do, if you have a good person running the game, they can create the story that you react to. What would you do? I would do this. I wouldn't do that. I would cast this. I wouldn't do that. And it's super immersive. Dude, we have played 2 weeks now. And in 2 weeks, he has woven a story that like me and my friends, we're texting each other throughout the week. Like, what do you think, Matt? What do you think that meant? What do you think that guy was trying to do? What do you think? Like, and we're so involved at this point that I don't care what you think of me. That's how much I love it, right?
You beautiful nerds.
I hear you. So no, like legit, I have been telling people over the past couple of weeks, if you have never played this game and you enjoyed Lord of the Rings, try it. Just sincerely, try it. Find somebody who runs a game, who is engaged in the game, and try it, because you are basically creating a movie that you're in charge of, and it is absolutely fantastic. I love it so much.
So, fun fact, Chris's sister and her husband have been trying to get us to play like these long form games for a long time together. My problem is, one, I'm incredibly competitive and I get very angry in games. And two, I am not good at really long games because I get bored. Like I can't even play Monopoly. I haven't even finished a game of Monopoly because I get so bored, I just walk away from it. And even if there's a story involved, so I've tried, but I did do this cool thing with them over Zoom. It was a Jackbox. And like we all played on our phones, and it had like a bunch of mini games that we played together. And it was like a really fun way. So if you guys want to change it up one week, Jackbox, it's over like Twitch and stuff. It's really cool.
Love it. I will look. So you know what's crazy? So I'm the same way, right? Monopoly, hate it because it does two things to me. Number one, it bores me after a while. Like I'm tired of landing on the same whatever.
Right.
The second thing is it brings out this competitive rage in me where like I'll like look across the table and I'm like, I know you're my mother and I know you birthed me, but I will destroy you. And I can't help it. Like I can't help it. But what's fun about this game is that it's not just roll the dice, move 3 spots, roll the dice, move 6 spots. Like you're literally a character. You're interacting with stuff. So like everything you do has a consequence, right? Everything you do, if you interact with one guy and you say the wrong thing, then you might have 15 guys show up to attack you. But if you don't talk to him, you might not get the one piece of the puzzle that you need to fix it. So it's so involved that it never feels boring. You'll feel like you'll play 2-3 hours and think you've played 15 minutes. It's unbelievable. And the second thing is you're playing with the people that you're playing with, right? You're not playing against them. So you're not competitive because you're looking across the table and seeing the boyfriend and like, how can I destroy his psyche as a person? Instead, you're looking and you're going, how can he and I work together to solve this puzzle in order to get across this river to get the bad guys on the other side? So look, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge board game guy. They bore me a lot, very frequently. Like I get bored with board games really quick. I know, it's weird. That's my one non-nerd thing. I get bored with board games very quickly. Like they are literally B-O-R-E-D board games to me. But this I've been doing for 2 weeks with my friends now. And it's a highlight of my week at this point. It's just so much fun. And I think a good chunk of it is because we're in the Rona quarantine, right?
Yeah,
like it's
absolutely.
It's great from the norm. All right, so real quick, I jumped on YouTube the other day. I know, I do this a lot. I jumped on YouTube the other day, and I was looking up D&D games because I wanted to like be adept at it before I started playing.
Wow, this is like super nerd. Stop.
Oh, hang on, I'm about to begin. Do you know who Joe Manganiello is?
Oh, the guy who married Sofia Vergara, yeah.
Uh-huh. You know, the big hunky dude that was the second famous star in Magic Mike? You know that guy?
Yeah, I know that guy.
Super cool Hollywood A-lister? You know that guy, super cool Hollywood A-lister? Yeah. He runs a Dungeons & Dragons club with all the dudes that played in Magic Mike with him and all the girls that played strippers in Magic Mike.
God.
So I'm just saying, you can judge me, but me and the stars of Magic Mike are basically all the same people.
You guys have so much in common, living in Jacksonville, playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Looking like this? I agree. Thank you, Chelsea. I'm so glad that you said that.
That's what I'm here for, Rob. All right, so let people know where they can listen to you and find all your stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you happen to be in the upstate South Carolina area, I'm on 97.7 FM ESPN Upstate. But if you're not, don't you worry, friends. I got your back. If you have an Alexa or smart speaker, you can tell her play ESPN Upstate, and she will just play my radio station for you. No harm, no foul. But you can follow me on Twitter at The Rob Brown Show. I promise I'm not super boring. At The Rob Brown Show on Twitter, Facebook.com/The Rob Brown Show. My show is Monday through Friday, 12 to 3, but I do live chats and videos and Zooms and stuff all the time. As a matter of fact, for the next 2 weeks, while The Last Dance is airing, because the Michael Jordan documentary is the only thing on sports TV right now, you can join me on Twitter at ESPN Upstate. I will be live tweeting through The Last Dance on Sunday nights. I will be doing Zoom meetings afterwards. If you are a sports fan, follow me, join me. I promise you I will not do Dungeons & Dragons unless you ask me to. I will keep it mostly sports related. But at The Rob Brown Show on basically every form of social media, and I'd love to have you guys hang out.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope you get to throw the ring into the lava at Mordor or whatever you're going to do today in your Dungeons & Dragons game. No, for real, though. It does seem cool. I will give it a shot if I ever, have the chance. My friends are just more of, not Dungeons and Dragoner people. I'm kind of like the big nerd of our friend group. So it is what it is, I guess. But you can follow me, of course, Instagram at Coffee with Chelsea. And, I have a blog, Chelsea Loves Dogs, too, that is all my rescue and fostering stuff. But, Rob, I think that we need to do this more often, man. This is pretty fun.
So we do have a podcast set called, what do we call it? Booze Pals trademark.
Booze Pals
that
trademark.
We'll be starting. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to take my wizard into the forest to see if I can find a potion to cure a broken heart now that you've made fun of me, Chelsea. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Coffee with Chelsea with the man, Rob Brown.